Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. Students, in the previous session we studied about autotrophic nutrition, and in today's session we are going to continue this lesson and we will learn about the heterotrophic nutrition and its types. So let us study and let us see that what is actually meant by heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Students, as you know that most plants on the earth are green plants, but there are certain plants which do not contain chlorophyll, neither in their leaves nor in any other parts. So such plants are called non-green plants, which are unable to manufacture their own food. So these non-green plants are actually not able to synthesize their own food. Even there are some non-green organisms like some fungi which fail to synthesize their own organic nutrients from inorganic substances, and these organisms are thus dependent on some other external sources for their organic nutrition because they also need to have food. So how will they have food? If they are not able to manufacture on their own, then how will they get the nutrition? So students, organisms which are incapable of photosynthesizing, that is, they are not able to synthesize or manufacture their own food. So these organisms obtain certain organic compounds from other autotrophs, and so they are called as heterotrophs. Try to recall what is meant by autotrophs. Organisms or some plants which are able to synthesize or manufacture their own food. We cannot say that they are organisms, but we can say that mainly the green plants are able to synthesize the food. So they will get food because they are manufacturing by themselves. But there are some organisms which cannot make or which cannot synthesize their food, and that is why they obtain these organic compounds or this type of food from other autotrophs. So basically they are termed as heterotrophs. So this type of nutrition which is carried out by the heterotrophs is termed as heterotrophic nutrition because there are such plants which depend upon the green plants or on other living bodies for their nutrition. So we can define it in other way also, like the mode of nutrition in which the organisms cannot manufacture their food and have to depend upon other plants and animals to obtain energy is called heterotrophic nutrition. And the organisms which have heterotrophic mode of nutrition are called heterotrophs. So this is about the heterotrophic nutrition. Now let us learn more about this heterotrophic nutrition. As we discussed, that organisms which have heterotrophic mode of nutrition are called heterotrophs. So what does this term mean? Heteron means an, that is other or another, means the organism will depend upon other or another organism or the green plants, we can say that, right? And trophy means nutrition, and if we combine both the terms, then it will make a one term, that is heterotrophs. So there are some plants which are heterotrophs because here we are discussing about the plants, not about the organisms. So according to the mode of nutrition, heterotrophic plants are of the following types. They are divided basically into four types: parasitic plants, saprophytic plants, insectivorous plants, and symbiotic plants. So basically we can say that the heterotrophic plants are broadly categorized into these four plants, these four types of plants. Now let us study about first two type of plants in this session. Parasitic plants. Students, parasitic plants are those plants which absorb food from another growing green plant called the host. In other words, we can say that parasites obtain their nutrition from hosts. So these parasites maintain physical contacts with the host plant through some parasitic roots. So students, how do these parasites maintain physical contacts with the host plant? They want something, they should have something through which they can maintain these physical contacts. Usually parasitic plants develop special roots which are also called as the parasitic roots, which penetrate into the tissues of the host plant. And this type of modified or the special roots are actually termed as something called as haustoria. So I'll write it down for you what it is actually termed as. It is termed as haustoria. So these specialized roots or the haustoria penetrate into the host tissue and make connections with the conducting elements of the host, and then they draw nourishment from these types of tissue. So through these tissues they are able to obtain the nutrition from the host, and that is why they are termed as parasites. So let us see some of the examples which can better explain us that what type of nutrition goes on and how do they draw the nutrition from the host plants. So let us start. The first example is the Cuscuta and second example is Orobenche. Stem parasite like Cuscuta and root like Orobenche are non-green and consequently they have no power to prepare their own food. So we can say that Cuscuta, which is also popularly called as dodder, and it is locally known as Amarbale or Akash bale, and so it is a parasitic plant that lacks both the chlorophyll and leaves. And Cuscuta and Orobenche are the non-green plants which get all their food supply from the host plants. So let us see that how do they obtain this nutrition from the host plants. This is a picture of Cuscuta, also called as dodder, and it is considered as a stem parasite. Now we will come to know that why it is called as the stem parasite. First of all, we should know that what is actually Cuscuta. Cuscuta or dodder has a short root and a long thread-like stem. You can see this. It twines around the host stem, this, the yellow color. It twines around the host stem and sends branches around neighboring stems, giving the appearance of a mass of noodles. Can you see this? It appears like noodles, the yellow color noodles. So Cuscuta twines around the host stem to obtain the nutrition. So while it twines around the host stem, it is able to obtain the nutrition. So this is actually the host stem which will provide the nutrition to Cuscuta or dodder. This is the host stem, the host leaf. This is flower, and this is the parasite. Parasite means here the parasite is Cuscuta, and its stem twines around the host, and that is why, or we can say that it twines around the host stem, and that is why it is termed as the stem parasite. So it is a yellow color climber that attaches itself to the host, and then it gives out haustoria, or we can say the special roots or the suckers that get attached to the host, and then it derives the nutrition. So Cuscuta does not have roots in the mature condition, but it produces the bunches of whitish or yellowish bell-shaped flowers. So these flowers are actually the flowers of the parasite, the Cuscuta or the dodder. Right? So this is all about Cuscuta, which derives the nutrition in such a way. Now let us move on to another slide and let us know about more examples. Let us study about more examples. Again, the Cuscuta. Now, in what type Cuscuta is acting here? Yes, it is acting as a portion of the parasite which is attached to the stem of the host. Same way which we discussed. Here you can see a more clear picture or more clear diagram or image of one such plant on which this parasite, that is Cuscuta or dodder, twines around the host stem. And this is the host roots from which they will get the nutrition. And when this plant gets the nutrition, the parasite, that is Cuscuta, will twine around it and it will draw the nutrition out of it. So this is also one such example of Cuscuta which derives the nutrition from the host stem. Let us see one more example. Rafflesia. Rafflesia is a parasitic plant and it bears the world's largest flower, as the flowers have 5 petals, as you can see here, 5 petals, big petals, right? And they may have a diameter of up to 106 centimeter and it also weighs up to 10 kilograms. So you can just imagine that how largest flower it is. It's green leaves, and that is why it has our immune system. In the same way, it harms, that means the parasitic plants harms the host. So this happens in plants also and as well as in animals or organisms also. So we can say that scientists believe that parasitic plants rarely or perhaps never kills the host plant so that the parasite can continue to live off the host. Otherwise, they will not be able to get the food. So it does not kill the host plant totally, but it harms the host plant. So there is a difference between the harm and killing, right? Harming the plant and killing the plant makes a difference. It harms the host plant, but parasitic plants does not kill the host plant. That is believed by the scientists. That is the research done by the scientists. So that was all about the parasitic plants. Now let us study about the second type of plant in the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and that is saprophytic plants. So first of all, we should know that what is actually meant by saprophytic plants. These are the plants that do not have chlorophyll. Means sapros means rotting and phyton means plant. Means it is the rotting plant. So the rotting plants or the saprophytic plants are the plants that do not have chlorophyll. Oh, try to recall now that green plants are able to manufacture their food, but they are not able to manufacture, or they will be not able to manufacture their food without chlorophyll. So if there are some plants that do not have chlorophyll, then how can they make or how can they manufacture their own food? And that is why they get all their nutrients from dead and decaying organic matter rather than making their own food as most of the green plants do. So we can say that there are plants which grow and live on dead decaying organic matter, including the animal and plant remains. And that is why they are termed as saprophytes. So these are the plants that will live on other matter, that is the organic matter. And most of these plants, these saprophytes, secrete some enzymes which break down this complex organic compound into the simpler ones. And this simple form of organic compounds, these simple forms are then absorbed by the plants, the saprophytes. So let us see that what basically it includes. Yes, Saprophytes include mainly fungi. The fungi are capable of digesting dead and decaying matter. How do saprophytic plants manage their nutrition? These are the plants that live off the rotting material, and they grow in such places with lots of rotting dead leaves, often in the deep shade in tropical forests. And then they digest this dead and decaying matter. So one of the example are the fungi. Now here you can see a bread. So basically we will see, or you can even experiment at your home, but take care. How can we prove that there is fungi and they grow? So here we are going to discuss one such experiment to grow the fungi. And we need a piece of bread, some water and a box. Now we have to moisten this bread with water, and we will keep it in the closed box for a few days. What we will observe after some days? What can we observe? Try to imagine. We will observe some whitish green patches on the bread, and these white and green patches on the bread are actually the patches due to the fungal growth. Let me write it down for you. These patches are due to the fungal growth. So this growth takes place on the bread, and that is why we can prove that fungi grow on such things. How? They will digest the dead and decaying matter, because when we moisten the bread with the water and when we keep it in the box, in the closed box, what will happen? The bread will become stale. Remember, or try to recall that bread is always kept in the refrigerator. And if you will keep in the closed box, then what will happen? It will get stale. It will not remain fresh. And that is why fungi will grow, because they are getting their nutrition from this thing, that is the bread. So they are actually capable of digesting this dead and decaying matter which is present on the stale bread, and that is why they grow on the bread. So this is, in this way we can say that fungi are considered to be the saprophytes. So there are other examples also, but before that let us see and let us study more about fungi. The fungi produce digestive juices which converts the dead and decaying matter into sugar, which can be then used as food by these plants. And that is why they are also called as the saprotrophs. So remember that they are called as saprophytes, or they can also be termed as saprotrophs. Both are one and the same. So saprophytes or saprotrophs get their nutrition from dead and decaying organic matter. Now let us discuss about some more examples of saprophytes. There are few more examples, like you can see here Neottia, which is also called as the bird's nest orchid, and this is the Indian pipe, also called as monotropa. So this is one such example of Neottia, which is called as the saprophytic plant. So Neottia and monotropa are the flowering plants, as you can see here in the image. They are the flowering plants whose roots constitute a mycorrhizal association with fungi or fungal hyphae. Means they also have the specialized roots, or we can say that they also have specialized things which are also called as hyphae. These Neottia and monotropa are the flowering plants, and their roots will associate with the fungal hyphae, which helps them in absorption, and that is why they are able to get their nutrition. So this is about Neottia, also called as bird's nest orchid, and Indian pipe. So children, always remember that the roots of the saprophytes contain the living organisms called as fungi, and these plants like Neottia and Indian pipe are also considered as saprophytes because they are able to obtain, or they help themselves in absorption when associated with the fungal hyphae, which is actually a part of fungi. There is one more amazing thing to discuss here, students, that according to the latest system of classification of organisms, fungi is no longer considered in plant kingdom. So always remember this, that it is placed in a separate kingdom, not in the plant kingdom. And that kingdom is termed as kingdom fungi, in which the mushrooms and toadstools are the most common ones, the most common species of fungi. There is one more example, students. Coral roots. The roots of saprophytes contain living organisms called as fungi, as we discussed, and coral roots are also one of the saprophytic plants. They are considered to be the saprophytic plants, and they are found in forest environments around the world. Like Indian pipe is found commonly in Asia and throughout North America, in the same way coral roots are also the ones which are found in forest environments around the world. So these are also considered to be the saprophytic plants. Students, I hope you enjoyed this session and learned something about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition and its types. So we will discuss about other two types of plants which possess the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So we will continue this lesson in the next session. Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying.